Okay, one last quick video to finish this bloody shares thing off. This has just got to do with the first part of the task. It's really a minor thing. Um, I'm not going to be too bothered if you don't have huge amounts on this because I think this part is actually a little bit stupid. It basically wants you to do this. It says for each of the four companies you've chosen, show the charts of the share prices over the last 10 years and explain some of the main features that it shows. For example, first one, explain reasons for some high volumes of trading. Do what I've done here, cross that out. Too hard. Way too hard. But the other four, how does your portfolio compare to the ordinaries index? Identify some good times to buy or sell during the 10 years. What trends do you notice over this time? Actually, I might get rid of that too. That's a bit pointless. And last one, this might be the hardest. Compare the length of time needed to get a good return with the length in weeks of this DI. Okay, so this is how it's done. Go to the Yahoo Finance website. Okay, just give me a sec here. I'm going back to the main one. Throw in the box at the top here, throw in one of the companies that you're looking at. So I'm going to do Telstra as an example. I'm going to go here on the left to where it says charts. I'm going to choose interactive. Okay, so that's what I've got here at the moment is basically for the day. I'm going to go down the bottom here where it says from and to, and I'm going to set it to, well, it's up to you where you want to go from. It's basically 10 years or so. I've decided I'm going to go from the end of August 2003 to the end of August 2013, because remember the last day of the 5-week scenario was the end of August 2013. It was the 30th. So that gives you about 10 years. You might not get those exact dates for reasons such as the stock exchange being shut on that day, but that's cool. You may also find that some of your companies have been on the stock market for less than 10 years. In that case, it will just automatically set it to start from when it was first floated up till today, which is fine. Okay, so here I've got the chart of the share prices for Telstra over the last 10 years. As you can see here, don't have the ordinaries index there. So that's what I want to add next. So up the top here where it says compare, I click that. And under here where it says enter name or symbol, I click on that. And then I type in the following. This is important. AORD for all ordinaries. Click on that. Go draw. And there you go. So that shows you what the ordinaries has been doing over the last 10 years. And the blue line here, that's what your company's been doing. So in this case, it's pretty easy to see that Telstra has actually, for the majority of the last 10 years, it's been going down in share price. It's only recently, well, was some point here as well, but you can see there's a big dip here. And basically today, it's about the same as it was 10 years ago. So it's done much worse than the ordinaries index, which you can see here. The ordinaries index was doing fantastically up till about the start of 2008. And after that point, it's when the global financial crisis kicked in. So it skydived for about, almost a year. Actually more than a year, maybe a year and a half. And then it started to climb up since then. So the all ordinaries index has gone up by about 60% over the last 10 years. Whereas Telstra has been rubbish. It's basically just flatlined. It's gone up by about 0% over the last 10 years. So that's how you get the two charts on there. When some good times to buy or sell, well here, there's not really any good time to sell because there's no real spikes in share price here, but you may want to look for real dips in share price as being good times to buy because, obviously buy when it's cheap, sell when it's the higher price. Okay, so here's some I prepared earlier. This is for JB Hi-Fi, National Australia Bank, and Rio Tinto, which were my four companies. Now you'll see that JB Hi-Fi has done fantastically. National Australia Bank has more or less followed the AOI. You can see the graph is the same shape, but has done rather poorly over the 10 years. And Rio Tinto has done okay. You'll probably notice with most of these that you have a spike there. That's just before the global financial crisis. And you have a dip there. So for most of these companies, that's going to be a good time to buy. Sorry, a good time to sell because the price is high. And that's going to be a good time to buy. Okay, so that's all pretty straightforward. Now, in terms of, how long do you have to hang on to it to get a good return? That's the slightly harder part. For something like this, you're not going to get a good return on it no matter how long you hold on to it in that 10-year period because it's just been rubbish. But for something like this, how long do you actually have to keep these before you start to get a good return? Well, it's up to you what you call a good return. It's, obviously a good return is going to be selling them for more you got them for, but how much more? And it's really sort of your judgment. For me, I'm thinking like 50%. So in other words, you sell them for half again of what you bought them for. So if you bought the shares for a total of $20,000, then you're getting a good return if you sell them for 50% more. So in other words, you sell them for $30,000. So on this chart here, I'm kind of after the point where the price has gone up by 100%. Sorry, not 100%, 50%. So I guess you could work that out by going along your graph. 50% is about there where my little hand is moving right now. So if you go across to there, that's about the 50% mark. And that is about almost a year in that case. I guess if you want to get really technical, you could do a screen capture of this, put into something like Paint, draw a horizontal line at the 50% mark here all the way across until it hit the blue line here. Draw a vertical line down from there and see where it hits the x-axis there. In fact, I might have a go at doing that quickly. Just bear with me here. So you can do a screen capture by pressing print screen. Go to Paint, paste it in. So I'll do a horizontal straight line approximately there. And I'll do a second straight line where that horizontal line hits the blue axis, the blue graph, which is about here. So there you go, that point there is where I got my 50% return on investment. Whoops. And as you can see, that is about a year in. So in this case, you need to have kept those shares for a year to see a 50% return on investment. And you could do the same thing here and here. What you're probably going to find in each case is that you're going to have to hang on to these shares for some time before you see a decent return on investment. And when you come to write your discussion, and this was mentioned in a previous one of these videos, when you come to write your discussion, you may want to talk about that. The fact that 5 weeks for most of these companies is just not long enough to have held those shares to actually see a decent return on your investment. The share price will normally go up. We see here that Telstra and National Australia Bank, that hasn't been the case, but for most companies, the share price will go up. But it doesn't go up so quickly that you're actually going to see a decent return on investment in such a short period of time, like 5 weeks. And I know for the companies I did and for other people's scenarios, that the actual return on investment wasn't even enough to cover the cost of things like brokerage and GST and all that kind of stuff. So most of us ended up making a loss on that. So that's just something to mention when you do your discussion. So as I said, try to cover these points because this is a task we've been given and we have to try and tickle the boxes. Don't worry about the ones I crossed out, I'll just ignore that. But don't stress yourself too much on this. I would concentrate more on doing a decent analysis of your calculations, what you found out, and also in just kind of justifying things, like justifying why did I pick the companies I did, justifying why did I choose to sell shares at a certain time and buy shares in another company. concentrate on that. Don't worry too much about this other crap. All right. So last video. Hopefully I'll see some of you people in school this week. Have a good one.